My name is Andrew Brighty. I'm an artist blacksmith. Serenade to the Sky, yes, that's the most recent one I've done. The brief was to make a sculpture that reflected music in some way because of the location, being on the green right next to the Fringe Festival. I did what I usually do, put pen to paper, and came up with the idea of a large treble clef, which also looks very similar to a cello as well. With the strings set in there, it does, and certainly the way it's slanted back, it looks a lot more like a cello. But that musical reference is there. Mimesis. Yes, that is sort of kind of the location sets me off really as to what it's going to be. And there's a lot of, it's fairly wild around there with there's a lot of wildflowers and greenery and all that. And I thought it'd be nice to reflect that. But I also thought it's going to sound bizarre, but if a load of metal was left for thousands of years and it developed to consciousness, what would happen? And I kind of had this idea that the metal would see what was around it and try and mimic it. It's built up. There's a lot of buildings there and the road obviously, but there's also tucked in there is the wild natural world. This sculpture celebrates the arts and crafts movement, and it questions, I suppose you could say, the so-called progress of the industrial society that was blooming up at the time. Is this good progress, or is it going to hinder us in some sort of way? And it's supposed to show the what's coming out of the bowl there is I-beams that you would find in a lot of modern buildings. They're easy to manufacture, they all look the same, and then it comes out and it goes into that handcrafted, going back to that handcrafted way. And I know we can't fully ever go back to that because it's impractical, but it's nice to try and incorporate that as much as we can into our daily lives. This one, which is laid out on the bench next to me here, is called One Volunteer, which alludes to the old saying, one volunteer is worth 10 pressed men, which goes back to I think it's a naval saying, if someone volunteers for work, then they're going to be a lot more productive than someone who's been forced to do it. The form there is just kind of a random form I came up with. That this sort of we're all the same. We're all humans, but we have our differences. The shapes are roughly the same, but there are cracks. We've got some rivets, all sorts of other things going on here. That it just says that we're all got our problems. We're all a bit, maybe some of us are a bit broken. Differences in sort of almost personalities, I suppose. But I hope I've achieved it. I don't know if I have or not. I'll let the people of Haslemere decide whether it works or not. I think they kind of do.